your host, John Matthews, self-ordained, politically incorrect, mad prophet of the airwaves. The conservative syndicate is comprised of some of the most knowledgeable activists and pundits today that together seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement with those seeking the truth regarding the similarities and differences between the religion of politics and the politics of religion.
We have put in place the toughest ethics laws and toughest transparency rules of any administration in history. In history.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever.
Did you mislead Americans about taxes, about keeping your plan, in order to get the bill passed?
No, I did not. All you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time, they're going to know what the truth is. For some reason, people keep on being surprised when I do what I said I was going to do. I'm doing it because I said I was going to do it, and I think it's the right thing to do.
And now, your host, John Matthews.
Okay, how we doing out there all across this great land of ours and around the world? It is time for the Conservative Syndicate, where thank you so much for joining in tonight, and I think we're going to have another bang-up show for you. We want to start the show out, of course, greeting and thanking our latest affiliate, Shake and Wake Radio. We're live right now on their station. And we just thank you. We thank you so much for bringing us into your group, into your family. We're glad to be with you. I am your host, John Matthews, mad prophet of the airways on a mission from God. And that mission is to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We do that by tearing down the imaginary wall of separation. And we do it by espousing what we call the conservative gospel. And we show the lameness of the leftist agenda. So we're glad to have you with us tonight. And, of course, I've got with me my partner of crime, my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm feeling a little more safe today because I had no interaction with the TSA.
Well, in this day and age, hey, you know what? I think the safest place to be today, knowing that TSA agents can't do anything, the safest place to be would actually be at the airport, don't you think?
They were, it was on, they were on Capitol Hill today talking about the report. And Capitol Hill today, there was 2 bomb threats called in, so they evacuated the White House briefing room. But Obama never left, so Anyway, so and then the in the Senate they were holding a hearing and said they had to evacuate that building as well today. So congratulations on whoever called it in. You probably saved the American people quite a bit of pain and agony by stopping some of the shenanigans that go on in D.C. at least for a couple hours.
It's we laugh about this stuff because it's so moronic. But, one of the things that I think we really need to kind of put all this stuff in perspective, when we talk about the upcoming, all the things that are going on there. I know, like, right now there's a big panic out there about Jade 15. There's talk about, our cities are burning up left and right these days.
Well, some of them are. When you have the mayor saying, go ahead, do it. I give you permission. Well,
we can see this stuff coming down the pipe. I mean, I understand today the district attorney for Baltimore had filed her cases out in the court, and they were thrown out because she filed them in the wrong court. Now, there's affirmative action for you. You get a degree through affirmative action. You don't even know what court you're supposed to file your papers in.
Wouldn't she try to file them in a tennis court? What was she trying to do? I mean, come on.
Probably tried to file it in traffic court.
She's a trained professional, correct?
Yeah. We're talking about a district attorney of the city.
That's That's not going to look good for her prosecution record and all those crime stats they keep. Because the cops program, they're going to want to have stats. They got to count the beans so they know how much money you spend and how good it's being spent. Like the TSA.
Yeah.
and what did McCaskill say today? Well, this is probably due to all the budget cuts that were going on in the TSA. That's why you could have 70-some people on the terrorist watch list be given access to restricted areas via the TSA.
Oh, I was listening to something else today about that. Max Stein was guest hosting on the Rush Limbaugh show, and I had to run some errands this morning, so I turned it on. I was listening, and it was they were talking about the fact that, did you know that right now there's over 1.5 million Americans on the no-fly list?
Oh, I wonder if I can get a prize for that.
Well, they were talking about some of the people that have ended up on the no-fly list, and one of them was I think his name was Rick Shelby. He worked for Fox News.
Well, I know Steve Hayes.
It might have been Steve Hayes. It might have been Steve Hayes, but he went over to Turkey to do a story. And because he went to Turkey, he ended up on the no-fly list. It's like, I guess they're checking people's destinations, and then, wait a minute, he works at Fox News. This is a domestic terrorist.
So I wonder if you fly. I wonder if you fly into Disney, you get put on the list.
I'm sorry?
I wonder if you fly into Disney if you get put on the list.
I don't know, but it's like they were saying, well, if that's all the criteria you need, then why don't we have? Why isn't it half of Congress, flies overseas and goes? Why are they not on the no-fly list? Well, certainly, somebody like Nancy Pelosi should be on it. That kind of thing.
I got one. Why isn't Hillary Clinton put on the list? She flew everywhere, and that's a major accomplishment.
Yeah, that's a major accomplishment, and yeah, you're right. So. But you think about all this, you start talking about things like the NSA and stuff. If we didn't have the NSA spying on citizens, if they weren't tracking our phone records or anything else, I wonder how many people would be on the no-fly list.
Well, speaking of that, John, the NSA, the Obama administration wants a 6-month extension to the data mining and data collection program that was just found. They voted out, and he signed the Let's Do America Again Act or whatever it was again that they're going to, just a lesser version of the Patriot Act. But they want a 6-month extension to phase in the new draconian measures so they can watch over. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the FBI is flying little airplanes around your town right now, spying and listening to your phone calls.
And what would be the purpose? Did they give any reason why they needed this extension? Did they need to crash hard drives or what?
No, well, probably. Well, who knows, John? That's kind of conspiratory of you. They need it so they can phase in because they don't want to leave any. Of course, it's for our own protection, John. They don't want to leave any gaps in their coverage. Meanwhile, we have this. What have they done with this? Have they found anybody? Have they caught anybody? In fact, anybody they have caught, they've let go for people of less than good character when it comes to military. I mean, we'll give up 5 guys for a deserter, and then we have some guys. We went down to Paraguay, I would think it was. We were like 6 or 7 of them down that way. I lost track anymore. I think the guys that are in Gitmo now are the guys that are really, really bad. So I don't know. Maybe they're hooking up with those 2 escaped convicts out of the prison up there in New York.
Well, maybe they'll be. We'll find them at one of the protests here in the next city. Maybe they'll be down in McKinney, Texas.
Yeah, with all the professional protesters that showed up in town.
Yeah, they'll be carrying you'll recognize them by the signs that say "Criminal Lives Matter."
Yeah, and they'll be done up like they were bought at Kinko's or something. It's not crayon or spray paint.
Yeah, God Almighty. Well, what we're going to do...
He is the Almighty, John. That's correct.
Huh?
He is the Almighty. That's correct. That's why we can always laugh about it because truly we know who's in charge.
Yeah. I that's one of my favorite things I say to people. When I get people to come after me like atheists and stuff, I love just looking at them and say, hey, I read the Bible. I know who wins. It doesn't, in the big picture, really what it comes down to is, what we do here on the Conservative Syndicate, what other people do out there in the same manner. It's just to where the speed bumps. Where the speed bumps they're slowing down the oncoming onslaught of Armageddon. That's because it will come someday. It's just
I'd rather think of us as the rumble strips that are on the side of the highway that wake your butt up when you're falling asleep at the wheel. I'd rather think of us that way.
Yeah. Well, I know. Things are just magnified these days, and certainly the intensity of things that don't matter is so amped up over things that do matter. Things that really matter to who we are as Americans and what this means to our children and everything else is just pushed off to the side or even celebrated as some kind of virtue. But anything that really matters or anything that doesn't matter, like Kim Kardashian's latest wardrobe malfunction or something like that, boy, that's out in the news for days. I mean, it's just like, and now I'm seeing a lot of this crap. Who's Kylie Jenner? Is that one of Jenner's kids?
Beats the crap out of me, John.
I think probably is. I mean, I don't know, but man, she's starting to make the scenes, and she's starting to make the rounds now. And I guess she's following the tradition of dating people of color. The rest of the family's into that crap. So
whatever.
It is what it is. I mean, you can date whoever you want. I'm not really, trying to be any kind of segregationalist. It's just interesting. As to what the media thinks, because I think most people in the media are morons, and so they really can't get into any there's no intellectual depth to their reporting or their ideologies. Everything has to come off a teleprompter. They're like the Ron Burgundies. I mean, that movie, The Anchorman, Ron Burgundy, the legend of that's so much closer to what the real media is like today. And, just whatever you put on that teleprompter, and I mean anything, and that's what I'll read. That's really what it is. So
yeah, I read that right in front of me, yeah.
Yeah, I had one of the things that still sticks in my mind once in a while, I don't know why, it comes up, is the first time Katie Couric interviewed an Islamic expert, some kind, one of these Islamic activists, and she's trying to sympathize with the guy, but right in the middle of the interview, she says, well, I have to be honest, I don't know anything about Islam. But she knew that the guy was right to be talking about whatever it was he was talking about, the mistreatment of Muslims.
Of course.
I don't know anything about Islam, but yeah, I understand your plight. I feel your pain. That kind of thing.
Even better, John. Remember when the plane ran off the runway in San Francisco, and they came off, and they were reading the teleprompter, and there was like stuff on it, like one of the co-pilots was named way too low. That kind of stuff. They were just reading that stuff off the teleprompters. Like, are you kidding me, people? Come on, man.
Well, anyway, guys, we're going to go to our first break here. When we come back, Karen Sigmund from Rage Up Against the Media is supposed to be with us here shortly. Then second hour, we have Ron Edwards from the Edwards Notebook. We have a bunch of stuff we want to float around here. I want to talk when we get back. Should Karen take a look? She's traveling, so I'm not really sure what time she's going to call in. But I want to talk about an article that I pulled up today on National Review about from Rich Laurie and the National Review. The title of the article is The End of the Clinton Coalition. It's a very interesting take on how the Hillary Clinton campaign will run in 2016 when she kicks it into high gear. So that's coming up here. So stay with us right here on the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be back in just a moment.
You can get all our show archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first, and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey, we are back right here on the Conservative Syndicate, and I want to again just thank you all for taking the time to join us tonight. I am your host, John Matthews, Mad Prophet of the Airways, on a mission from God, and that mission is to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. And I have with me Joe Cajicos, my co-host, and sitting off here in the wings, and the happy wanderer herself, Karen Sigmund from Rage Against the Media, out there just having too much fun. That's the way to look at that. She's just having too much fun. Joe, you wanted to mention something here before we kick in the high gear tonight about the trade agreement.
Yeah, we remember last night we were talking about the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement, the Fast Track Authority, and how the House leadership is pushing that down. They are using the whip to get the votes to go ahead and give the Obama the authority to go ahead and get this thing through. And, nobody knows what's in it because you have to sit in a secret room and wear a robe, burn incense, and whatever else it is, probably sacrifice a chicken or something while you're in there. But anyway, it's not very open. There's nothing transparent about it. And there's a push to go ahead and get this thing just rushed through and everything. And I was watching the television after I got home from work today, and I seen this ad about, hey, we need to have this agreement put through, and we need to have it for the American worker, and this and that and this and that. And I was wondering, well, who be putting this on? And it was produced by the American Action Network. So I said, oh my goodness, the American Action Network. Who could those be? Because that sounds like that's a pretty good place. And lo and behold, I'm looking at it. The American Action Network is an advocacy group founded in 2010 by Fred Malik, a founder of Thayer Capital. These are all probably very familiar names to some people, especially if they were paying attention to the last election cycle with Romney. And here's the important part. He's the former Republican National Committee deputy chairman.
Aha, so we're beginning to see why the Republicans are all jumping on the bandwagon.
Yes, and that's who made this. This is the propaganda arm for them. They're using their old buddies to go ahead and get this thing out there so they can get voters, actual American citizens, to call up their representatives, big air quotes here, representatives, so they can go, oh, my people want to hear it. My people want this pushed through now. So they're going and they're using this group to do what the leadership in the House can't get done. And let's see. There's a couple other folks there. Brian Walsh, political director at the National Republican Congressional Committee, and he replaced Rob. And all these guys are in the same clique, shall we say, with the leadership, with Eric Cantor and those guys. So when you see these ads, just kind of keep in mind that, if you heard us talking, we were obviously, I don't think we're for disagreement. We're definitely not for disagreement if you don't know what's in it. That's for crying out loud. That's for simple purposes and for sure. All right. But then when you see an ad come on TV, fully supporting and going, we need to get you a hold of your congressman and let them know you got to press this thing through. It's time to think about, well, who's doing this? So these guys are doing the dirty work for the House Republican leadership.
Well, I'm surprised nobody's figured to just run everything through the Clinton Foundation.
Well, that would get everybody a little bit. Well, there might be a little too much daylight on that one there, John.
Well, I don't know. Just as long as you give Bill Clinton a bigger cut of the pie,
I don't know. I mean,
Jesus,
who knows? Karen's probably got a better thought on why it wouldn't be done with the Clinton thing.
Wow, we'll have to keep our eye on that. Okay, having said that, Karen, how are you doing tonight?
Right.
Yeah, actually, I had to do that last night. We had we lost our show last night halfway through because the encoder shut off for some reason, and so I thought, well, I'll just check my internet speed, and I'm supposed to be getting 75 up and down on my internet, and I was only getting like 30, and actually dropped down to 25, so something was wrong. And I got up this morning, and here's a little tech trivia for you all out there. If you bring in shows on wireless, your up and down speeds are cut by 1/3. So you got to hardwire in whenever you can. That's just a little tech trivia that I learned the hard way last night. But anyway, Karen, I wanted to ask you, because we didn't get to do it last night. First of all, how things going with Evan? How's the shows turning out?
Just terrific. It's we're here in Boston. He's done the Phoenix show and the Chicago show. Tomorrow is the big Boston show at Laugh Boston. And for any of your listeners, I do hope you come out. He's obviously incredibly funny, but also it's not just humor. To be humorous, this is really activism. The left has taken over. We know this. We talk about this. The news media, entertainment, and education. So Evan is doing what he can with his one-man show, Night of Conservative Comedy, to take back this piece of the entertainment culture. If you've been to a comedy club lately, you'll see that it's not really our kind of humor. Not only is it crass and degrading and so on, but wherever possible, they'll take potshots at the right. So... And people say, well, it's just comedy. It doesn't really matter. It does matter. Just think back about Sarah Palin, how everybody knew she had said she can see Russia from her house, right? Everybody knew that, but she hadn't. It was Tina Fey. It was Saturday Night Live. So comedy has a very influential place in our culture, and we've got to fight back, and that's what Evan's doing. So his Phoenix and Chicago shows were tremendous. Boston, we're really excited about. He did a Tea Party event last night that had a terrific turnout, and tomorrow we're, also hoping for a huge crowd of a couple hundred people, and then on to New York on Sunday. So it's been fat. He's just so smart, right. And just spot on. So it's very empowering, very funny, and when's the last time you've gone to hear a comedian and agreed with everything that they've said, because they're just so correct. It's really a delight. So come on out if you're in the area. Then he's going to culminate with a show in Hollywood. So that'll be sometime in July. So
that's great. That's great. I'll have to go down and see that one. I've only seen Evan once, and actually performing, and it was a blast. It was a blast. Of course, I was kind of ticked off the fact that he invited me to a club, gets me in for free, and then I have a 2-drink minimum.
Yes, there's the 2-drink minimum. Yep, that's nothing he can control. That's all the club rules.
It was a little irritating because I don't drink, and so I ended up paying $4 for water.
Yep.
So anyway, but that's good. That's good. Now, what about your take here on what's going on in this thing down in Texas? This another bad cop. Joe was just informed me that the cop he resigned today.
He did resign, and I have been so beside myself about this because it's so exactly like everything that we've seen. You look at the clip, and just like with Rodney King, and you think, that is horrible. I can't believe that guy did that. He's manhandling her. This is terrible. And then, and we're all righteously indignant. This is something that's really awful. As anybody watching the Rodney King video thought, obviously this is a terrible thing, and the police are way out over the top with their use of force. And then you look at the entire video, and what happened with this girl was the culmination of like half an hour of really awful stuff. Have you seen the whole video?
No, I've seen bits and pieces of it because that's, depending on the slant they want, that's what you normally see out there. You get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But I understand. I was reading a lot of the posts from people that live in the community. I went on Facebook last night and read some of this stuff and some of the stuff they were put on Twitter, and they were all saying the same thing. The people living there are saying the same thing. This thing was intentionally used by the media to put something out there that wasn't exactly accurate in terms of what all went down. And,
exactly. It is absolutely intentional, and the real story, and it makes all kinds of people look bad. It makes the community look bad. The whole story is, and let me see, is it conservative? Hold on, this fabulous article from Conservative Treehouse. This is such a masterful piece of journalism. I am absolutely blown away by it. The full story of the McKinney, Texas pool mob. They have the identity of the woman who organized the event in McKinney, Texas is named Tatiana Rhodes. She's approximately 19 years old. She's the one who hosted this, planned the event at a subdivision called Craig Ranch, tweeted out about it. She did not have permission to invite people to the pool. Just all kinds of, in every way, rules were violated, and the thing got way out.
If you want a private party, the last thing you want to do is tweet it out.
Right, and so it wasn't. She is a party promoter. That's what she does for a living. And apparently, this one was sort of a teaser, a free pool party teaser, bringing youth in. What was it called? It was the Dime something. It was really just one incredible thing. Dime Piece Cookout, which apparently is some kind of a drug reference. And the idea was to get people to this pool, and it was sold as a pool party. She wasn't allowed to invite people to this pool party. So a few hundred people show up. Mayhem breaks out. They're trying to climb the fence into the pool. Parents called the police to come contend with this. This wasn't vicious police, and these people were brought into the neighborhood. It's not their neighborhood. There's crime going on. There's all kinds of mayhem, and now the police are trying to subdue it.
I got to do a commercial here real quick because I want to give you time to get into this in its fullness. So I didn't want to cut you off in the middle of that before you get going here. But we got to do a couple of commercials here. Stay with us. I've got Karen Sigmund from Rage Against the Media with us. We'll be right back here on the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and And don't get directed. Switch to Dish, because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey, we're back right here at the Conservative Syndicate, and I am your host, John Matthews, and my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. We've got Karen Sigmund from Rage Against the Media doing our weekly segment with us. And Karen, you were telling us about the this article. Was it the Treehouse? Was that the name of the people that put it out there?
The conservativetreehouse.com, and this really is such a fine piece of investigative journalism. I mean, imagine if we had media that saw that little clip and then decided to actually investigate what the real story was. If they had gone door to door asking people how this happened, if they had found who sponsored this quote party, what the regulations were, what the actual facts were. Imagine if we had media that did this. None of this would have happened. But no, that's not what we have. But instead, the Conservative Treehouse did this truly fine piece of investigative journalism. It's the conservativetreehouse.com, the full story of the McKinney, Texas pool mob. And it's
why don't you fill us in on it? Fill us in on it. What's it talk about?
Well, so this woman, Tatiana, let's find her again. Tatiana Rhodes is approximately 19 years old. She has a fake ID and has actually, according to the article, been scrubbing her social media accounts. It looks like she's 20 years old. She was promoting a party via Twitter under the hashtag name Dime Piece Cookout for approximately a month. So apparently Dime Piece has something to do with drugs. I don't know. She planned the event at a subdivision called Craig Ranch in McKinney, Texas. And this is what she does. She sponsors these quote parties on social media, various places, and this time it was at this pool that she did not have permission to do. The Craig Ranch subdivision is a neighborhood park and a gated pool and clubhouse for residents. You're allowed to have 1 or 2 people as guests, but not several hundred, which is what she had done. Mm-hmm. So the specific event last Friday was advertised as free attendance, where Tatiana was passing out flyers and selling tickets for another event that she was setting up June 19th. So this was this free teaser event, getting as many people as she could to this thing so that she could promote this other event. So very, very smart, as somebody who plans events, I get it, except you don't get to invite people to a private pool. Now, all the media, of course, said this was a community pool, a public pool, which it was not. So hundreds of people get in their cars, they're being dropped off by their parents, or they're piling in cars, practically bussed in, not bussed in, but like that, from all over the place to this free pool party. And, of course, they're not allowed in. So their mayhem ensues. And then, right, you mentioned that you were hearing about this on social media. And I have to tell you, I saw something down my news feed last night that was the real story from residents, as you pointed out. And I posted about this on my Rage Against the Media website. Mm-hmm. I've had almost 10,000 views of that article. 10,000. I never get anything like that. Yeah. But this one, because it's so blatant, the lies that are out there, people recognize that there's a truth that they're not being told. So here's what was out there. This person, Michael Corey Quatrin, said, described how all this was. A DJ set up in a public space next to the pool in our neighborhood on Friday and played loud, explicit music for multiple hours. The teenagers, both black and white, were being brought into the neighborhood by the carload because the DJ was tweeting out invites to a pool party for $15. So the DJ's saying $15, the other promoter says it's free. The teens began fighting with each other and pushing their way into the private pool. Some were jumping the fence. The security guard was accosted. Some residents who live around the pool area tried to come out and settle things down. The teens started yelling racial slurs at our neighbors and started assaulting people and property, throwing bottles at cars, and attacking a mother at the pool with 3 young children. The first officer on the scene was by himself, and that's what you see in the video. At the time, the party had grown to a large, aggressive crowd. As the officer arrived, many teens started running through our neighborhood. Many of the teens were aggressive and yelling at the officers as more arrived. It was a dangerous situation for the officers and the teens' residents who are not involved. The news media has refused to hear the neighborhood side of neighbors, and let's see. The video being distributed is only a very small segment. Please stop the media from spreading these lies. And when you look at the whole video, you see this one lone police officer, Officer Case Bolt, who is going after individual after individual. He's telling them to sit down on the ground, and they run away. Mm-hmm. Or others, there was one instance where a guy sort of looked like he was reaching into his back pocket. If you're a police officer, you're going to react to that with, and so it just escalated and escalated. And by the time he got to this girl who was resisting, what it looked like to me, after having seen him handcuff a couple of the young men, it looked to me like she had also resisted, kept trying to get up, kept screaming. Apparently she kept yelling, all kinds of stuff. He didn't have handcuffs anymore, but he had to keep her subdued. And so that's what he was doing. Without seeing the whole beginning of it, you think he's just going after this girl in a bikini. No, there were crowds of men yelling, taunting, being rude. Yes, there were some who were very well behaved. But, watching this too, one thing that struck me with all this talk about how dangerous it is to be black these days, right? I mean, that's what we're told, that the police are, shooting white youth. That's practically what the president says. There was no fear in any of these kids. This was mayhem. This was the law enforcement contending with utter lawlessness. Right. These kids were fearless. They were shameless. They did not do what they were told by the police officer who just said, sit down. Right. If they had just sat down, that's all you have to do. I mean, that's it. That's all Freddie Brown had to do. That's Freddie Gray. Sorry, that's all Michael Brown had to do was stop. But that's not what happens. And then I found these unbelievable articles in The Guardian saying things like, clearly blacks aren't wanted in the suburbs. And this is so unbelievable because that is the narrative that the media wants. That's the narrative. Racism and cops white cops attacking black kids. Those are the two narratives.
I think it's time that we make an honest statement about this idea that we don't want integrated neighborhoods or whatever. It goes along. I think about people that tell me, that say to me, you don't like Obama because he's black. And I say, you're right. I don't like black socialists. And I don't like white socialists. And I don't like Asian socialists. And I don't like Hispanic socialists. I don't like Jewish socialists. I don't like Catholic socialists. Okay? Yep. So let's put things where they are, where they belong here. And the time is coming where, you know what? If these people in the black community are so concerned about what people think about them, then maybe they ought to start acting a little bit more like human beings and a little less like animals. Because they're bringing this, they are victims of their own circumstances. This is not something that we've just, I don't know about you, 2 years ago, I wasn't walking around to see I didn't walk around town wondering, geez, how many blacks do we got hanging out here, and what are they doing? That kind of stuff. This is something that they have been exploited by the very people that say that they're saviors. And they're too stupid to see this. They're too. I'm sitting here as you're talking, Karen. I'm looking at the article you're talking about here. Tatiana Rhodes, okay, or Tatiana Rhodes, fine, however you want to spell it. Another thing. Why do these people learn to spell their names? But anyway, it says most of her social media accounts have now been scrubbed because of the publicity behind this. So obviously this backfired, I guess, a little bit on her. But here I'm looking at the picture of this young lady. She's 20 years old. She lives with her mom, LaShawna Burks, who lives in this subdivision.
Right. They're living in this subdivision. Exactly. How racist are these people in the subdivision that they're living there?
Yeah, well, the point is they're from Chicago. They lived in Chicago and they moved down here. Now, where do you think they learned how to be so reckless and lawless?
From the community organizers. And that's exactly what they're doing. This is
community organizing for the X generation,
Yep.
Let's throw an F-bomb party and let's use somebody else's pool and charge for it. And if you don't like it, hey, we'll just kick the fences down and beat everybody up and destroy their homes. They could have. This is just nothing more than recreational Baltimore.
Yeah. Wow. Well put.
Yeah. So it's like, this is the thing. If you people want to be treated with respect, that's a phrase I hear. I'm unleashing right now because this has really hit my button here. This idea that I hear people say, well, you got to respect me. That's their claim. They destroy something and you say, well, what's the deal? Well, it's all about respect. Hey, dude, if you want respect, act like a human being, for crying out loud. Quit destroying everybody else's property because you think you've been disenfranchised. You want to burn a house down? Let's see if we can find out where Al Sharpton lives. Hey, let's start there. Let's go to the core of the problem here. You want to protest? Amen. You want to riot? Why don't you stand outside the White House and do it? And let the people that really need to know what's going on, and let them see the wrath that they've created. Let them see the monster that they've created. That's what we need to do. That's what needs to happen. This idea of we don't want blacks in the suburbs. Okay, who cares where you go as long as you're peaceful, for crying out loud?
Absolutely, and it's completely crazy making. I could not agree more. They're hurting themselves. The community organizer machine is hurting those who they pretend to help. She's just done an unbelievable amount of damage to these kids.
And she'll probably be out here 3 months from now looking for reparation for the fact that her business has been shut down because the cops ended up stopping what she was doing. You watch how that comes down.
Right. And look what's happening in Baltimore, right? Cops aren't doing their jobs anymore because they're scared of getting arrested for doing their jobs. Yeah. And this nice community, what's being portrayed, I saw article after article after article about it's the rich versus blacks.
Yeah. I'm just wondering here because I'm reading in this article about the Homeowners Association, then they have such strict rules about the pool. Now, what is a homeowners association going to do? Are they going to come down on this woman? You know they're not going to come down on this woman because if they say, hey, you broke all the rules, your daughter broke the rules, you're a resident here, you're now guilty of charges, we got to kick you out of here. That ain't going to happen.
Oh, no, and it's already way bigger than this. They had hundreds of people marching yesterday to the pool. Hundreds of people turning out for a protest calling this racism. Texas pool party incident raises questions about wealth and race. That's another headline. Texas pool party videos tells African Americans they're intruders in suburbia. This is from The Guardian. This paragraph is just going to have smoke coming out your ears. For some black... we need to go to break, right?
Yeah, we need to go to break. We need to go.
I was just going insane there. Sorry, I just had to scream.
Well, I understand. I understand. Right? We got to stay on time here. We've been bad boys for too long, and we got to straighten it up. So.
Yep.
That's what happens when you start hitting the upper level tiers here. You got to be more
it's
conformative
it's a
to
great
rules.
script.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here in the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can get all our show archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish and get the best deal in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call Go Dish to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. Less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Okay, hey, we're back right here on the Conservative Syndicate. I am your host, John Matthews. I've got Joe Hakos, my co-host from Dryer Report, and Karen Sigmund from Rage Against the Media. We're talking about the incident down in McKinney, Texas, and just a couple of real quick things I want to make, and I'll get it back over to Karen here. Once again, I noticed that within 24 hours, we had all the professional printed banners running around. They're down there, standing down there in front of the police station, calling for the firing of the cop, which is, I guess, has since resigned. A big black banner in white letters, all nice printed. I used to do printing for a living, and I, for the like of me, have never been able to get a banner in 24 hours. So I'm wondering, if nothing else, I'd like to know who their connections are. The other thing I wanted to note real quick here is that the pictures they put up of this young lady, Tatiana Rhodes, and her mother, what's her mother's name here? Lashana Burks, okay, also known as Lashana Burks. I guess they spell their names different depending on what city they're in. We got the one girl, Tatiana, with a picture of her taking a selfie, flipping the camera off. There's some real nice. And the mother, about 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight, wearing a tight skirt coming up over her butt. So I'm thinking, okay, this is the Walmart crowd. This is the Walmart crowd down in Chicago, and so these kind of things, I look at these kind of things, and I know they sound judgmental because they are. I make judgments based on what I see. You can tell me, well, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Oh, yeah, I do that. I judge a book by its cover.
That's why we're here, John.
Yeah, you see somebody standing there with a cell phone in their hand, taking a selfie, flipping you off. Chances are I'm not going to think too highly of that person. Okay.
And they do it to themselves. These were her choices. These are their choices. This is not the color of their skin. I couldn't give a darn about the color of their skin.
Yeah.
You act in a certain way. We're going to judge you according to your actions.
Like she's getting ready to do a centerfold spread.
Unbelievable. Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, you dug your hole. You've created your world. And, get off my case if I'm going to sit here and judge it. If my daughter was sitting, if my daughter ever did something like that, I'd probably slap her upside the head. Because you don't do that kind of stuff.
You don't do that. But this is where I keep coming back to this. We're shredding the fabric of our society. That's what's happening here. There's no respect for property. There's no respect for self. She has no respect for her own self, and clearly she didn't. She learned whatever she learned from mom.
Right.
No respect for other people, no respect for the pool, no respect for the kids they invited to a place that they don't have a right to be. How do you... what part of your brain decides that that's okay?
I would interject
to put
one
other
thing.
people in that situation.
I would interject one thing. You just made a statement. You said we're shredding the fabric of our nation. We're not shredding it. We're watching and we're letting other people do it. See, we've copped this attitude as Americans that, hey, whatever you do is your business. Yeah, well, it's the leftists out there that keep telling us that we live in a community and that we're supposed to be responsible to the community. And I would think that would mean to some degree that, you help maintain civil society. You don't disrupt it in the name of disenfranchisement or because you feel left out or because your ego or your self-esteem is down in the gutter. This whole idea that the leftists play this community thing and then they turn right around and burn them all down.
And burn their own community down. Burn their own... Now I'm got smoke coming out my ears. I have all day. And yesterday.
It's going to be. I wonder how this is going to play out in the long run. I mean, I'm surprised. Maybe once Obama gets back from his G7 summit, we'll have the Loretta Lynch running down there telling everybody it's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll. Hey, maybe they should hire that district attorney from Baltimore. The one that can't file her papers in the right court.
Exactly. Unbelievable. You had one job to do. But to me, Tatiana should be held responsible. I mean, to me, and as Joe had said, the idea that this police officer doing his best, and the very end of the full video, he was talking to these boys, and it was so wonderful. He was talking to them. He said, look, all you had to do was pay attention when I tell you to stop. Just stop. That's all. Yeah. And it was such a teaching moment, and he was outstanding. And think if the media had latched on to that little bit instead of the rest, and it would have been an entirely different narrative. But no. They want the narrative of white cop, innocent black kids. Do I have 2 seconds to read this paragraph? It's going to just blow your mind.
Okay.
Hurry.
Okay. For some black middle-class families in America, the video to surface out of McKinney, Texas over the weekend was a confirmation of something they have long been aware of, that regardless of income and postal address, as black bodies moving around in white claimed spaces, they are constantly at risk of being seen as dangerous intruders, and that perception may put them in danger.
Wow.
Tatiana invited them to this space. She's the one who created this dangerous situation. She is the one who made them be, in fact, intruders. They didn't have a right to be. I don't care, again, what color they were. It's irrelevant. But black bodies moving around in white claimed spaces? Seriously? Unbelievable. Then the father says this, and this whole article is, you just want to rip your hair out. That the father told his kids, he said, the black father told his black kids, they need to see this video so they can learn why I've been telling them they cannot behave like their white friends when they're out. This guy told The Guardian. This is what he's told the kids to do. Put your head down and be quiet around white people in public, be seen and not heard, and come home safely.
Wow.
This is unbelievable what's going on.
My philosophy is this. I think somebody should rake the mother over the coals.
Yeah.
The daughter, there should be something here. I think she owes somebody some retribution. If there was damage to property, hey, let's hold her accountable. She called this thing together. But I think the mother needs to be somehow reprimanded. Because that's where it comes from. You can't tell me. One thing my mother used to tell me, I listened very little to what my mother told me when I was growing up. But one thing I know that she often said to me, which I am finding true as I get older, is that children are a reflection of their parents. And, that's not always the greatest thing in the world. But it is. I think it's very, very true in this day and age that we're seeing, like you said, this total disregard for lawlessness, that these people don't even the authority says something and they just, it's like, their brother's saying it or something, and they just totally disregard it. Or maybe they're so used to doing that with their parents. The parents say, hey, do this. And yeah, right. And they just go and do what they want to do,
Right.
We used to do that as kids.
Watch that video, and that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah. They pay no attention to the adults.
Right. Okay, so Karen, we're out of time here. We're out of time. Okay. I wanted to give you time to plug. You got so much stuff going on.
Oh my gosh, I have way too much. I'm freaking out like constantly. Yes, find us, rageagainstthemedia.org. That piece I put up, 10,000 views. It's unbelievable. And it's just a quote from Facebook. It's out of control. But people are realizing how they're being lied to. So, rageagainstthemedia.org, and on Facebook, Rage Against the Media. And I have my radio show, WNJC, AM 1360 in Philadelphia, Wednesday. That's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. And also, I put shows up on Spreaker as well. So, did I catch everything? I don't know.
Yeah, you did, but I know you're out there traveling. I was telling Joe yesterday, people live in California. We just never adjust to time zones. It's like, if you're not on California time, then you ain't crap. But you need, I'll say this.
It's easier when you drive it, that's for sure.
No, I'll say this in partying, though. Tell Evan to put his poster on the front of his homepage. I couldn't find it. He's got it buried.
Oh, okay. I will pass that on.
Okay. I'm trying to promote his show yesterday, and I couldn't find it. He had it listed under the latest news. I'm like, oh, that should be out on the front. Anyway, just let him know.
Yeah, I will pass that on. All right. Great talking with you. Talk to you next week.
Okay, we'll talk to you next week. Okay, guys, it's time now for the Edwards Notebook, and then we'll run a couple commercials here, pay some bills, and we'll be right back. Stay with us right here on the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
The framers of the United States Constitution formed a government that was to protect the rights of we the people. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, when the Constitution was written by the Founding Fathers, they knew that because of the nature of government, which includes obstructing the sovereign rights of individuals and taking wealth through legal edict, there needed to be in place a written set of boundaries in which the government would operate. The U.S. government was to primarily protect our rights and also protect us from enemies both foreign and domestic. Of course, the Founding Fathers understood that only a moral, self-controlled nation of sovereign citizens could maintain such an arrangement so long as they remained aware, moral, and did not allow apathy to become commonplace. But unfortunately, the government is now populated with elitist progressives who disdain the concept of you and I enjoying true liberty and justice for all. The federal government now operates against us via every statute of the Communist Manifesto, including the graduated income tax, education under central control, and much, much more. And the beat goes on. Do you still believe there is such a thing as radical Islam? If you believe that radical Islam is a reality, please allow me to awaken you from your delusion. First of all, in order to be a Muslim or follower of Islam, you must believe in the teaching of Muhammad and the writings of the Quran. The Quran teaches devoted non-extremist Muslims that they are to kill all non-Muslims. The often called religion of peace is replete with instructions to view black men as raisin heads and all black people as slaves. Those dedicated to Islam are instructed to pretend to be friendly until they either have numeric superiority or they are allowed to do whatever they like. Like they are in Dubornistan, Michigan, parts of Paris, France, and London, England. Over the past 1,400 years, dedicated Muslims have murdered over 300 million innocent people and were the first non-blacks to enslave Africans. Islam is Islam. There are no modifiers. The Obama administration and traitorous Republicans once again stick it to sovereign Americans. Progressives like President Obama and wayward, ankle-grabbing Republicans have taken another stab at making life more difficult for American inventors. If one is bringing forth a new invention and attempts to obtain a U.S. patent, They will be inhibited by the American Invents Act that was co-sponsored by Progressive Democrat Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont and Rhino Republican Lamar Smith of Texas. Rather than relieving the backlog of patent applications, this law actually increases the backlog, making it more difficult for independent inventors to receive a patent. It is basically a placeholder system for rich corporate inventors, whether they actually have an available invention or not, while blocking or pushing those who actually have a created invention to the back of the line simply because they don't have deep in bed with government pockets. Once again, the free enterprise system is recalibrated to inhibit the common man from making his mark in the advancement of mankind. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can get all our show archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
For a 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
And those listening around the world, it's time for the Conservative Syndicate with your host, John Matthews, self-ordained, politically incorrect, mad prophet of the airwaves. The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most knowledgeable activists and pundits today that together seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement with those seeking the truth regarding the similarities and differences between the religion of politics and the politics of religion.
We have put in place the toughest ethics laws and toughest transparency rules of any administration in history.
lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever.
Did you mislead Americans about taxes, about keeping your plan, in order to get the bill passed?
No, I did not. All you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
For some reason, people keep on being surprised when I do what I said I was going to do. I'm doing it because I said I was going to do it, and I think it's the right thing to do.
And now, your host, John Matthews.
Okay, hey, we are back right now. Hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate. I am your host, John Matthews, Mad Prophet of the Airways, on a mission from God. And that mission is to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. And we do that by espousing the conservative gospel and exposing the lameness of the leftist agenda. Again, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the first hour. I know we ended up spending probably a little bit more time talking about the McKinney, Texas thing than I really wanted to, but worth it. Definitely worth it when you start seeing what is all the things that are going on in this country. Joe, one of the things I noticed, and again, I just mentioned this in passing, is the idea that how quickly these little protests get organized after something like this happens. I think it blows me away to think about just how quick they're able to do that, how quick they're able to get on and get out there and do what they do. What do you think?
Well, it's what community organizing is all about, John. That's what we do now. We're just go out there, and they have an industry now. Remember, I said last month to watch the beginning of last, because that was right after Baltimore. I said, watch, we'll have another incident. It won't be too long. I was very surprised that we made it through May, but we haven't made it through June now, have we? And we will see more. We will see more right before the 4th of July. It's going to be happening. What I would like to really see would happen out of this McKinney, Texas pool party trespass thing that happened down there is what I would really love to see. I would love to see the consequences paid for people's actions, i.e. the girl that did not want to just have enough self-control to do what a police officer asked her to do. I would like to see, maybe someone should watch her parents work, and maybe if they do anything that's a little out of the ordinary, maybe they should pay with their jobs. This is just insanity what's going on right now. These people have no self-control, and their behavior is reinforced by the people that show up in their town in this town with their pre-made signs, pre-made little lectures, and pre-made little speeches and little chants and everything else going on down there, while the neighborhood that was once quiet and peaceful is now on the epicenter for just basic what you would find in the middle of a field with a bunch of cows.
I agree 100%. I think that to me the solution to all of this, is start holding parents accountable for what their kids do, and that to me is the fix all. When parents start getting inconvenienced by what their children are doing, then parents start reacting, because we live in let's be honest, most parents today that are raising kids, and I'm not talking about those of us who have already raised kids to the most part, but I know that when you are conducting yourself in such a way that it reflects on your parents, and it takes your parents away from their job, or their parents are embarrassed in the neighborhood or whatever, things change. And then what we have today is, we've got public schools babysitting. We've got the church is not doing anything to teach anything. The parents aren't doing anything because they're so worried about working and everything else. And so what do we got? We got kids that are basically left to their own. And the parents just like, don't bother me. And I was thinking, I was watching that interview with the girl in the bikini that got thrown down, and I was watching the interview with her father. Now, you could tell the father loves this girl, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. It's his little girl.
Then he should do something else instead of praising her.
But the point being is that I'll tell you what I would have done. Once that camera stopped rolling, I would have pulled that girl in the other room and we would have had a talk. And it would have been a one-sided talk. And it would have been, this is what you're going to do. And if you don't do it, hey, there's going to be some repercussions, that kind of thing. I doubt that took place.
It'd be more like, I don't ever want to be in front of a news camera ever again because of your irresponsible actions.
Right. You have embarrassed his family. You have, this, that. What were you doing at the party anyway? Where's that mother that slapped that?
That's what she was doing. It's called trespassing.
Where's that mother that slapped that Baltimore kid? We could have used her,
Oh, well, that's what parenting used to be, John. So they made her up to be the good housekeeping seal of parenting, for crying out loud. That happened every day in America. It used to happen every day. Every parent in America used to do that. Now they're making that like that's so unusual now that's a special thing.
Yeah, I know.
Cut me a break.
Well, I still remember my father making me, when we did something wrong, we had to go out to the peach tree out back. We had to pick out our own switch.
Oh, you can't do that? You can't do that. You know why you can't do that? Who was that? That nice little running back up in Minnesota. Yeah, he did the same thing to his son. Of course, his son was a little younger. He was only like 2 or 3 years old, something like that.
No,
so that's a little
young.
That's a little excessive, I would say. But hey, you know what? You can't do that. It's not no way you're allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because
anyway,
you go to jail for that now.
I know. We got to bring on our next guest here. Ron Edwards from the Edwards Notebook is with us to do his weekly segment with us. How are you doing tonight, Ron?
I'm doing pretty well, enjoying you listening to your comments there and about the situation, about what's going on in our country. Basically, it's a game of how low can things go, judging by what happened in Texas. Things are pretty bad. It's I think the officer quit or is going to quit.
No, he did.
Yeah. So you know what I've noticed, and I said this a few years ago to my wife, because I would go to certain neighborhoods and then I watched in our own neighborhood, and every once in a while you'll see a certain type meandering through. And I said, these look like they're paid or they're encouraged by the NAACP or some other group to come and just hang in the neighborhood to see if someone will say anything, and then they'll holler racism or something. Or they'll ride through in the evening time with the loudest music since the beginning of time, that literally shakes your windows. And it's just and looking at that situation in Texas, it was just disheartening, because here you have a private community, certain people were invited, and these knuckle draggers think that they have a right to just be in your face, and because they got a little retribution, they want to call that racism. But see, this is planned. Part of the overall plan to just bring about more, lunacy in our country, to disrupt our way of life. On one hand, you have the blacks saying that they don't want to be around whitey, we hate whitey, or that type of lifestyle, but yet they always want to invade and cause trouble so that they can be a part of this effort to just bring about distractions and disruption. And it's not about, because they know they're wrong. They know they're wrong.
Yeah,
they know they're wrong.
I wanted to ask you, Ron, because you travel the country a lot, and so you meet probably a larger cross section of people than somebody like Joe or myself do. I'm pretty tied down because of my schedules and everything. I pretty much hang around. At least physically, when I'm out there physically, I hang around people, birds of a feather flock together kind of thing. I hang around conservatives, evangelical Christians, kind of like that. My confrontation with the liberal element is here in the show and obviously on social media, So, and when I do confront liberals, like I did last week at my school reunion, high school reunion, and it took all of 2 minutes for all the liberals to get up from the table and walk away. They don't want to talk, that kind of thing. But anyway, when you live in an area, you still live in Detroit, right?
Well, it's outside of Detroit.
Okay, outside of Detroit. Okay.
Certain people can't live in Detroit.
And I live out here in L.A., very close to L.A., just outside of L.A., and so we see the difference between, for lack of a better phrase, urban living and suburban living. I live in an urban area. I mean, there's by no way that the city I live in we would classify as suburban. But the point I'm trying to ask, or the thing I wanted to ask you about is, we got some information on how this party went down. Karen was just on the first hour, and she brought to our attention the fact that this party was actually organized by a 20-year-old girl who lived with her mother in this subdivision down in McKinney, Texas, in this neighborhood that they live in. And these people came down from Chicago. They're originally from Chicago. She is the one that tweeted out that there was this party. And apparently she thought she was going to use this party as a springboard to a bigger event. She was going to get people down to this party and then promote this bigger event. Apparently she thinks she's a promoter, a party promoter or an event promoter or whatever. And that's what triggered the whole thing off. Now, the point being is that this is a black girl and a black mother. And when you see their pictures, the girl herself is taking a selfie, flipping the phone off. And the mother in the next picture is about 40, 50 pounds overweight, wearing a skirt, looking like she's getting ready to do a centerfold spread. And so I'm looking at this, and they're out there telling us that whites don't want blacks in the suburbs. And I made the comment last hour, and I wanted to get your take on it here. I think it's about time that we start telling the black community that you are victims of your own circumstances. You have created the image that you are so upset about everybody looking at. You have created the stereotype. This isn't something we went out of our way to look for. This is something that you have put upon us, and now you're upset when we call it that. Am I off base here?
No, you're not, because it's not just whites, but there are some blacks too that just want to live a decent, civilized life. They work for their, to obtain a nice home and to live in a nice area where there's nice city services and the whole 9 yards. And for these cretins to move in and carry themselves in that manner, disrupting the lifestyle of the people that live where they've invaded, basically. And then they want to say, well, those white people don't want to be around us. Well, they're the same way when they move around certain blacks, too, that live a certain lifestyle that they've worked to obtain. And, all most people want to do is like you and I, we want to just work, we live our lives and do what we do and live peacefully amongst our fellow Americans. But you have these people that they want to, and I used to talk about this in the past, about you have these in-your-face bully types. They want to be, to say a lack of, I'll just say it the way it is, man. They want to be niggerish, and they want to push it in your face. They want to make you accept it. Either accept it or receive the consequences of either being called racist, being attacked, or both. And you've got the media on their side, and it's basically a tweaking. It's a national tweaking, and there's going to be a backlash. I try to warn certain people that the white community far outnumbers the black community and the people that are doing these things, and I think they have a lot more guns. And if they want a showdown, because people can only take so much. Mm-hmm. And before something happens. And pretty soon they're going to stop killing the blacks that are just killing each other like they are in Baltimore and the east side of Cleveland or wherever. And they're going to start going beyond what they do now in the white neighborhoods, just making trouble and being a pain in the backside. And they're going to start picking more fights. I saw the thing on Facebook where this black guy started a fight with a white guy, and the white guy beat the crap out of him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, bravo, because he was just selling wolf tickets to the guy. The guy was walking with his friend, wasn't bothering anyone. And these I just call them NAACP folks, because the NAACP supports all of this activity, the Urban League, all these groups. And they don't tell people, well, are you acting like a civilized human being? Are you working or running a business or raising your children the way they should be, or are you being a pain in the ass where you're living? They don't go into principles. They just, being black is being a certain way, and they want whitey or other blacks who don't want to live that way to accept that. And then they get mad because not everyone is buying into that. And besides, that neighborhood, that McKinney, Texas, is not all white, by the way. And I don't know if you caught it last evening. There was a black gentleman who had quite a different story from that you might have heard from the black troublemakers in the area. Mm-hmm. And he did not. He, in fact, was on the side of the police. And, he talked about how all of the people in that area, which is a diverse area, they get along because they're all on the same, they have the mindset. They worked, they acquired a nice house, they're in a nice area together, and they want to keep it that way.
Right.
And these no good nicks want to bring their lifestyle into the face of those people, and not everybody's going to accept that. I'm sorry, and I'm so sorry that police officer quit. I am so sorry that he did. I just wish he would not have had to have quit, or and fight this even in the courts, because if we keep giving in, I'll quit, or there's only so far that people can move. We keep moving and moving and moving. But when do we stop? And when do we stand up and say, you know what, no more?
Joe had brought this up last night. We were talking about the same thing. The idea that, what we have right now in society is a great portion of America that is just kind of, we're trying to tolerate to some degree. We're even to some degree trying to understand what's going on here, and be have a little empathy, and say, you know what, maybe there is some prudence to what they're saying here to some degree. Obviously, it's not like racism does not exist. We can all acknowledge that, but when you start seeing it to this degree, where the point is that you want to demonize, you want to isolate and demonize police officers enforcing the law, and then you want to at the same time claim that they're not doing enough, but then they're doing too much. And then you start affecting communities like this, where the community is calling the police, and the police are having to come in and do what they do, or like we see in Baltimore and some of the other cities, Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, where the cops are just laying back and not doing anything for fear of reprisal. And we were just saying, at what point does the average American citizen just stand up and say, okay, I'm going down to Walmart tomorrow and I'm going to stock up on ammo and this thing is going to stop? And there's a part of me that just thinks somewhere inside of me, it may be cynicism, but I think it's more just watching what's going on and being able to put two and two together. There are people in the background that are out here claiming to be the messiahs of the black community, but they're actually the ones behind this, perpetrating this whole thing. I still am very in awe how quick these people can organize and get their printed signs and their banners and everything out there after something like this happens in Texas. Now, I could see it on the East Coast, but within 24 hours in Texas, we have protests. Organized 200 people show up down the police station, boom, bada bing, bada boom. Just happened, right? And there's got to be a moving, driving force behind this thing, and it's got to be the very people that are up there every other day telling us that they're out there to represent the black community, when in fact they're just exploiting them. That is what breaks my heart about the whole thing.
You're right. In fact, I was looking at an article here. I don't know how many, but it's a huge number of new Black Panther scumbags that are flooding into Texas. And for what? To start trouble.
Right.
And this is what it's all about. But you know what? If they want to start trouble in Texas, they're going to be in for a heap of hurt. And maybe that's what needs to happen, because I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, they used to have these kind of protests on college campi throughout the country. And the students would take over buildings and throw bottles of urine at cops and all that. So when they got to Kent State in Ohio, there was a big reaction to that kind of activity. And do you know, after that, there were no more, for many, many, many years, there were no more violent protests on college campuses throughout the country. And I think something has to happen, because we just cannot continue to take it whenever these people get into a mood, because they're nothing more than useful idiots of people that want to disrupt this country. They're doing it in many areas, including socially. And it's this divide and conquer mentality, and we've got to realize it. That's why I say that those of us across the board who want to preserve or at least rebuild this United States of America, we've got to get rid of these color barriers and all of this and unite together as Americans and show down these cretins who want to divide us and make this, I don't know what they want to make it into, a big ghetto or something where everybody's shooting everybody, like they are on the east side of Cleveland, ever since they had the demonstration in that city. The police have pulled back, where they're not doing much in that particular part of the city, and they've had a shooting every single night now. That was not the case before that recent demonstration over the police there. But the rest of the city is doing fine, because the police are still doing their jobs throughout the rest of the city, the west side, downtown, and all of that, and the southeast area. But right in that core east side neighborhood, they pulled back because they were called racist, and they went to Nutsville about whatever the case was. And but there's no protest about all the shootings that are going on in these black neighborhoods by blacks, which shows you how phony they are when they go into other neighborhoods, start trouble, and say, hey, there's a racist. And like my dad used to say about racists, so what?
What do you mean by that?
Well, racism does not stop everyone. It doesn't stop. It didn't stop Frederick Douglass. It doesn't stop me. It doesn't stop anybody it didn't stop Dr. Ben Carson. What I'm saying is that if you, as an individual, black, white, or whatever, decide a certain path for your life, in a land of true opportunity, which Obama is trying to kill off, but in a land of true opportunity, there's no way in heaven, on God's green earth, that you can be stopped, especially today with all the laws against all certain activities and all of that. So what if there's a racist? That's not our biggest problem now.
Right.
That is not the huge problem. That's why I say so what, because that's not the biggest problem. We are being so stupefied in this country that we continue to major in the minors.
Right.
So the worst treatment that I've ever gotten in my life.
Yeah, I had actually mentioned that earlier in the show, the idea that what we're doing is we focus so much on things that don't mean anything, and the things that mean everything nobody pays attention to.
Yeah, and the worst treatment I've gotten in my life was not from white folks. It's from black folks who I don't agree with politically.
Yeah.
So you talk about discrimination, my friend. I could tell you something. So when I hear these yahoos just running around talking about racism all the time, well, I turn a deaf ear, because there are much greater problems, and black people are treating each other much more cruelly than the white man is right now. I don't read stories of white guys going into black neighborhoods and blowing people away, or aborting all of their babies, or keeping their houses dirty and they're having a dirty lifestyle. I don't see why people doing that. Maybe you guys know something I don't know, but blacks are doing it to themselves.
Yeah. Okay, I've got to interrupt you, Ron. We got to take a break here. Bottom of the hour here, and we have Ron Edwards from the Edwards Notebook with us, and we're going to continue our conversation here. Actually, I want to shift gears when we come back. I want to talk about. We started talking about the Senate race in 2016 last night. I want to kind of talk a little bit about that tonight. So we'll be back in just a moment here, but right now it is time for Moments of Madness. We'll be right back here on the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can get all our show archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. Today on Moments of Madness. Among the fanfare heaped upon the Olympian formerly known as Bruce Jenner by the likes of Barack Obama, who apparently thinks it takes courage to cross-dress, and the presenters of the Arthur Ashe Award who believe it's more courageous to don gay apparel than to recognize an athlete like double amputee Noah Galloway, a 33-year-old former U.S. soldier who lost his arm and leg while serving in Iraq, but now competes in CrossFit events, runs marathons, and has competed in the 58-hour death race. Little has been said about an attempt to have the IOC strip Jenner of the gold medal he won in the 1976 Montreal Olympics in its response to a petition that made the rounds, presumably in some homophobic redneck bar. IOC Communications Director Mark Adams relayed to Yahoo News, Bruce Jenner won his gold medal in the 1976 Olympic Games, and there is no issue for the IOC. Given the past history of the Olympic scandals involving hormone-saturated athletes that attempted to either enhance their performance or change their genetic makeup in hopes of representing their countries as superior human specimens, I tossed this around in my head and I said, hey, that was then, this is now. Good call by the IOC. No harm, no foul. I smiled to myself, acknowledging my empathy had won out. This would have opened a whole new can of worms. But then I read the second paragraph of the June 4th article on Yahoo, and well, my conservative reasoning once again trumped liberal logic. The article reads, in 2012, the IOC announced it would allow transgender athletes to compete against their chosen peers, assuming they meet 3 criteria. The athlete must have had gender reassignment surgery. The athlete must have legal recognition of his or her assigned gender in his or her home country. And the athlete must have completed at least 2 years of hormone therapy. When you consider the advancement of LGBT activism in just the last 3 years, it is quite mad. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts now embrace homosexuality, making one wonder why their organizations still sport genetic labeling. Homecoming queens can now really be queens. Beauty pageants have redefined inner beauty to mean that which is genetically enhanced outwardly, and girls can now pitch in Little League or legally touch a boy's privates as she takes the handoff from center. Not to mention, on any given day, we no longer know who is showering with who in our public schools. Sometimes it takes something like the IOC or someone like the new and improved Bruce Jenner to make you realize that something is just not right, both politically and morally. If nothing else, it certainly gives a whole new perspective on the phrase, he throws like a girl. Oh, wait a minute. That is a girl. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish and get the best deal in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call Go Dish to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. Less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Okay, welcome back. Right here on the Conservative Syndicate, and we're glad to have you with us. And I've opened up the line here for Ricky here from Shake and Wake Radio. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, I just wanted to say great show tonight. Welcome to the network, and we are totally in the same camp as you guys are, and keep up the good work, and God bless you, and thank you for joining us. We do believe that we are in, we're either in end times or they're using the Bible to make us think we're in end times. But either way, we have to stand up and do the right thing.
You're absolutely right. I mean, if we don't have anybody to blame but ourselves.
Right. I just wanted to say great show. I'm so glad that the Conservative Syndicate with John and all of his co-hosts are a part of the Shake and Wake Radio Network. And thank you so much, John. We love you, and carry on, man. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the show tonight.
I really appreciate the warm welcome. I feel like I've been here forever.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care, my friend.
It's a mass in Jesus' name.
All right,
although I don't know how, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but, in Jesus' name. Thanks,
okay.
John.
All right, thanks a lot. Okay, all right, yeah, that was Ricky C. He is the network chief of Shake and Wake Radio, which we made our debut on tonight. That's one of our new affiliate, and just great. Him and his wife Annie, just a couple of great people. I mean, hardcore conservatives. I love them already. So we're back with Ron here. Ron from the Edwards Notebook. And what I wanted to talk about at this point, I want to kind of shift gears. I'm curious, Ron, have you been making any effort to look at or examine the situation coming up in 2016 with the Senate race? We know that the House is all coming up for re-election, but we have the same situation in the Senate race that we had in 2012, where a majority of the people for re-election were Democrats. This time around, I believe it's 10 Democrats up for re-election, 24 Republicans. And the talk is that, that's a big enough spread that a shift of a few seats could put the power back into the hands of the Democrats in the Senate. And have you been watching this, or have you paid any attention to it at all?
Not a whole lot of attention, but there is a slight bit of concern, and which is probably going to be increasing as we get towards the election or closer to the election time. And that is because I have been watching some of the action or inaction of our senators when it comes to certain issues. And I remember when this class of Republicans were campaigning for these seats, they made certain promises that they would fight against Obamacare and other things. And to me, in my opinion, they haven't followed through as well as I think they should have, and that's why there is a possibility that things could shift back to the Democrats, which would be worse in my opinion. But, if they're not doing what they have promised to do, and they're not making that much of a difference, the average voter may not notice a real difference, and, the Democrats may, gain a larger share in the upcoming elections.
Yeah, well, that seems to be in some cases now. I was telling Joe yesterday, we were talking about these, there's I guess 10 seats that everybody's kind of looking at saying, hey, it could go one way or the other. And it seems like the Republicans, since they got control of the Senate, have actually acted more like Democrats than the Democrats have acted like Democrats.
Exactly, and it's very disheartening. It's very, the average voter. Many people, they'll just throw up their hands and forget it. A lot of people. We could end up with another situation that the Democrats win by default because people may once again stay home because they're saying, well, what's the difference? I remember telling people, well, there's probably a difference this time because Obama's been so bad and the Democrats have been so horrible in this country. I believe maybe they're going to do something this time. Maybe they'll stand up because they see how bad it's gotten. And no, once we've been fooled by these Republicans. And like you said, John, they're acting more like Democrats than Democrats. And to me, I have actually less respect for them because the Republicans know better. They ran on a different platform, and to lie to us blatantly like that, to talk a good game to get elected, but once elected, to act like or kiss the backsides of the progressive Democrats is just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it other than it's just very negative.
Yeah, Joe had brought up earlier, Ron. I don't want to paint you in a corner if you can't respond to some of these Senate confrontations that are going on. But Joe had, just to reiterate what we've been talking about just in the last few minutes, Joe had brought up earlier in the show about a advertisement that is being out there and paid for by people tied to the RNC. I believe he said it was a former deputy. Is that who the guy was, Joe?
Yeah, former deputy. These are National Republican Committee former operatives that were high up in the food chain for the National Republican Party. So yeah. And then now they're out there doing the bidding for the leadership because Scalise and McCarthy, they're out there whipping up votes to push this trade agreement through and telling people to go ahead and get a hold of their representative and say, yeah, make it a good thing. And it's like, really? How do you know it's a good thing? Have you seen something? Because you're not allowed to see anything. So how can you say that? It's a bunch of hooey. We'll call it hooey.
Well, the thing, what I'd like you to do, Joe, if you would give Ron a little bit of an overview of what this thing is about, because what it is here is we've got Republicans acting as a collective, and there must be some knowledge that they hold as to what this trade agreement is going to bring in terms of personal monetary gain. I can't see, but maybe give us a quick overview like you did in the first hour, so that we can let's let Ron respond to it.
What I pulled off was, Boehner and his friends. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, how they're out there trying to whip up the votes to get get Obama the fast track authority to get that Trans-Pacific trade agreement pushed through. But no one knows what's in it, and the only way to find out is you go behind a secret door, these closed doors. You can't take any notes in there. You can't take anything. Your aides can't go in there with you or anything else. So you get to go in there, and nobody knows what's going on. And so Boehner is out trying to get the votes for this thing. And you've got some Democrats are going, no, we don't like to see it for whatever. Basically, the unions here don't want it. But so these Democrats don't want it, but Boehner wants to go ahead and give Obama this authority. It's like, we need to give the president this authority. It's like, why are we giving Barack Obama any kind of authority? What his track record has proven it. He does not have the best interests of American hearts in his heart. He has proven that. He's got a track record for it. So why all of a sudden is the Republican leadership so dead set for this? What's in it? What's going on here? And then I saw the ad on television today. It said, hey, go ahead and do this. And then I said, who are these folks? And I looked them up, and they were former Republican National Committee vice chairmen and that kind of thing. So
what's your response to that, Ron?
Well, yeah, I am familiar with the trade deal situation. I'd like to ask you, gentlemen, has there ever been a trade agreement that the United States has conjured up with other nations that has been beneficial to this country? My concern is that not only is it, in my opinion, wrong to give Obama this fast-track authority, but what good is it for the government to be dictating trade and writing out these kinds of agreements? And it's supposed to be the marketplace, and the government is not the expert as far as being, in business for industry or whatever. And government control, these type of agreements have not worked out well for the United States of America. And when you have a president such as Obama, who does not have, as John said or Joe said, America's best interest at heart, you're giving the fox control of the hen house here, and you're just opening the gate for him to get to it easier or whatever, to destroy what little left we have of our economy internationally. It's not a good situation. It's dangerous, and if Democrats can see it, or some Democrats rather, they're even against it.
That's the scary part. The scary part is that you've got Democrats are saying this is bad news, and you've got Republicans saying this is the greatest thing since Obamacare. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. As we've been emphasizing, the big red flag is, one, Obama wants it. That right there should send up a red flag to anybody. Two, nobody's read the thing or claims they've read it. I'm starting to think that some people actually do know what's in the bill, and that's why we've got a collective of the GOP investing money in putting out the advertising to bring something like this in. And I can only speculate and believe. Not speculation. I believe this. Is that this is another situation where Obama says, hey, you guys are going to get to look at this before we do anything with it. I'll negotiate and you get to look at it. And as soon as they voice any opposition to it, they're going to be right back in the media, demonized as a party of no, the obstructionists, all the other things. We don't want Obama to succeed because he's black. All the other, it's just going to be a replay. And I guarantee you by May, June of next year, that's the way it's going to play out, because Hillary's got to bring that same division into the race if she has any hope of mobilizing the base to get them out to the polls. We got to divide and conquer again, and then we got to have a new objective. And so, what are we going to talk about? The economy. Yeah, we'll talk about the economy. How the Republicans have screwed it up, because they were with us before, and now that we actually want to do something, they're against it. They're obstructionists, and that's how that's going to play. I got to go to commercial here. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion here with Ron Edwards from the Edwards Notebook. Don't go away, guys. We'll be right back here on the Conservative Syndicate.
You can get all our show archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish and get the best deal in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call Go Dish to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. Less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Okay, hey, we are back right here on the Conservative Syndicate. Again, I am your host, John Matthews, mad prophet of the airways, on a mission from God, and that mission is to destroy the liberal left. We'll paraphrase that. And anyway, we're coming up on the closing segment of our show here. We have Ron Edwards from the Edwards Notebook with us. And I guess at this point, Ron, maybe what I should ask you at this point, what is really been hot on your plate? What have you been looking at out there and just seeing, just complete chaos other than what we've been talking about all day?
Well, the thing that I have been looking at a lot is what you had been talking about earlier, and I have a real strong concern about the coming racial divide in our country. And the social breakdown of our country as we continue to, as Joe alluded to earlier, have generations of children not properly brought up and reared by their parents. And they grow up and breed, and you just continue to grow this new society of barbarism. I'm concerned about that. I'm also very concerned about the health insurance situation in our country. The Obamacare, the Republicans had also vowed to go against that. And there were some who talked about defunding it or chopping up some provisions or taking some action. And what have we seen? Absolutely nothing, to my recollection. And so, the other thing that is very concerning to me is on the international front, we find that there's no concise action against the terrorists around the world yet. For some reason, you have this lightweight activity towards Russia, a much more powerful entity, by the way. These sanctions and all that, to me they're phony sanctions, and they're not going to really hurt Putin. And he's going to continue to do what he wants to do. But you have this wasted hot air, in my opinion, concerning our international activity, and it continues to discredit our country over and over again. The president said that our nation has, I'm paraphrasing, the standing of America is better than it's ever been because of his administration. Well, the truth is, our allies don't like us anymore, or at least they don't trust us. And our enemies, they're not supposed to like us, but they don't respect us. They don't fear us. We're basically a big joke internationally. And that is very concerning because it's becoming more difficult on the international stage. And whomever succeeds Mr. Obama, can you imagine the mess that they're going to have to clean up around the world?
Well, you think from maybe Obama's perspective that's really, from his perspective, the world does think more of us. But we're talking about our enemies, the people that we would normally classify as enemies. Obama looks at as our allies. And so maybe in that regard, he might use the word respect, but it could be just they're a little bit more cooperative with us because they know we're bringing about our own demise. What do you think?
Well, that's true. I mean, that's true. It's not that they like us, but they're being nice to him in his face because we are self-destructive. But I looked at an episode of an Egyptian talk show about a week ago, and I think it was three gentlemen, and they were just cracking up. They were just in disbelief. They were ranging from just total disbelief to hysterical laughter at America's self-destruction at the hands of Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, they were calling the man insane. They were calling him all kinds of things, and there was nothing respectful towards him. Now, we would think that, Muslims around the world, like the Egyptians and all that, would be respecting Obama because he has been hurting America on their behalf. But they're disrespecting him, saying, wow, he does this to his own country? Look what he's done to his military. Look what he's done to his economy. Pretty soon, America will be too weak to even fight against the terrorists at all. I mean, this is what these guys were saying on an Egyptian talk show. So those people that he thinks are his allies, because they're patting him on the head, basically they're thanking him for destroying America, but it's not making them like America, like he's telling us, and he knows that. And he doesn't care because his end-game goal is to destroy this country. Yeah. And that's all he cares about.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we're out of time, Ron. I want to get give you time to plug your stuff because I know you're very active out there all across the country here. Let everybody know what you're up to, where they can find you.
Well, very quickly, gentlemen, you can find me at theronedwards.com. That's my website. Also, on News with Views, I write a weekly column. Those two entities are the most prominent places you can find me right now. And the Edwards Notebook is still on 34 radio stations around the country. And you can see a list of them on my website, theronedwards.com.
All right. I appreciate it, Ron.
And thank you, guys, and Godspeed. And
okay,
congratulations,
we'll
John,
talk to you next week.
For your expansion.
I'm sorry?
Congratulations on your expansion.
Oh, well, we're doing our best. We're trying to get out there. We're trying to get to many places as we can to get the message out there. That's the only way we're going to win this battle. Thanks so much, my friend. God bless.
Indeed. God bless. Bye.
All right. Okay, we're coming up on the end of the show here. I want to let everybody know tomorrow, my good buddy here, Joe's taking the night off. We've granted him a leave of absence from the asylum. And he's going to go out and enjoy his family, and rightfully so. He's earned it, and I'll be flying solo the first hour tomorrow, and then Robert Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live will be with us, and Joe, since you're not coming on tomorrow, you may miss the conversation you wanted to have with Bob.
Well, I always have the archives, John, so I won't really miss it.
Yeah, but you can't interject in an archive.
and Bob probably will appreciate that.
Yeah, he might like that. We're gonna talk with Bob about the differences between we're gonna kind of do some speculation here. Bob has a PhD in international finance, and we're going to talk about what the country might look like today had we not changed from the gold standard to currency, and how this would play into the current situation right now with the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement. And so that's what we're going to throw. We're going to put Bob in the hot seat tomorrow. Make him earn his degree. We're going to test him out and see what we can come up with. And I promised tomorrow in my segment we're going to talk about the Clinton thing. I've been saying this for a week now, and we just get off on other subjects and go down other threads because I really got to devote quite a bit of time to take you through this chronological partnership that has taken place between the Clintons and many of the cronies that are still operating with them. Some of them have been banned from the White House and are still operating under the Clinton umbrella. So that and the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton Gorista Foundation up in Canada, Uranium One, all these things all tie together. And so tomorrow I'll be able to do that because I have the whole first hour to myself. I think we'll be able to knock that out, at least hit the tip of the iceberg and get enough information in your hands that you'll want to go out and do your own research. So having said that, remind everybody you can get archives of this show at theconservativesyndicate.net. We've just launched a YouTube channel today. It's on Roar Radio, one of the other affiliates that we deal with. You can go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. All the links are there. I make it very easy for people to find, and so you don't have to worry about writing things down or even worse, just hearing me say it and not doing anything about it. So we put all this stuff out there for you to access so that you can educate, inform, and engage those that you know that need to know what we know. We can put it that way. So we'll be back tomorrow night. We'll be live on our station here at the Conservative Syndicate, Spreaker, And we'll be with back again with Wake and Shake and Wake Radio, and Roar Radio will be on tomorrow night with us also. So have a good night, people. We'll be back at 5 o'clock tomorrow, West Coast time, 8 o'clock East Coast, and figure out your zone in between. God bless you. And just remember, folks, the fight's not over. This is far from over. It's far from over. We're Americans, as Rick Perry said. We're resilient. We'll bounce back. We lived through Carter. We can make it through Obama. Okay? God bless you all. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.